I'm Rick Szabo. I am the winner of season one of Destination X, and you are watching the Hollywood Junket.
Yay! Thank you so much. Alrighty, so Rick, $250,000. I mean, I can't even breathe thinking about that much money.
I don't think it's sunk in. Obviously, the money hasn't hit my bank account, but it was so fun last night celebrating with my friends, my family, my small community up here in Canada. Like nobody knew except me, my wife, and my kids and their wives. Like my parents didn't even know. So to have all my friends there and to all find out at the same time, it was a magical experience. Like way better than winning 10 months ago in front of Jeffrey and the camera, where you couldn't share it with anybody, right? There's no confetti, there's no, champagne toast. So, like, in fact, I won twice, but the second one was way more meaningful.
Wow, my gosh, keeping that in, that must have been a lot of anticipation. So getting, I know, getting into strategy a little bit, taking it back, you and Peter's strategies were actually pretty opposite. He wanted to compete with like the best of the best, and you wanted the weak players in. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think I wanted the weak players in. I just wanted it not to be me. And so Pete and I were picking off players every episode. And everyone had to eventually go. So it was each opportunity, what's the best play for this episode? Sometimes it was Shane, sometimes it was Allie, sometimes it was unfortunately Biggy at the end. But that was the gameplay. What's the easiest person right now? Yeah.
At any point, did you ever think about maybe forming an alliance with Kim or anybody else?
Kim couldn't stand me. Like she hated my guts. There's no way. I think every episode she's like, Rick, you need to grow a pair of balls. Like she hated that I cried. She hated that I talked about my family. There was no way she was gonna ever, ever, ever work with me. But watching it back, she's the one who could have blown up the game when you saw her sleeping when Pete and Janae got on the bus and were talking about how I was feeding them clues. I had no idea that happened. But she didn't tell anybody. Like she could have blown up my whole game right then and there. Thankfully she didn't, and then thankfully she went home the next episode.
How many? So speaking of that and kind of stories, and because at the end of the day, it is a game, so you have to strategize and you kind of have to, do what you have to do to win. How many of the stories that you told other cast members on the bus are true, and how did you intend stories to help you?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for letting me clear this up. So there are some things I certainly withheld. So starting with my childhood, I did not tell anybody that my dad was a pilot because that leads to me being able to travel the world from a very young age and instilling in myself a love of travel. So that right off the bat, I hid that. I hid that I had a career in negotiating in business because that's a skill that I have that I used, but also that job put me around the world traveling to many, many countries. I also hid that my family, we moved to South Africa for almost 5 years. So I've got a lot of knowledge about the continent of Africa, but also a lot of travel. I also hid that I'm a bird watcher and that I can use the skills of identifying where in the world I am based on the birds I see or hear. Like there's a lot of birds that are only found in certain parts of the world. So if I can see that bird, I know exactly where I'm at. So I hid all of those things. So the problem is when you start hiding who you are, you have to fill in the gaps of your life with other stories. So I have to fill up like my dad's not a pilot, but my dad's now a math teacher. Um, I wasn't I was I wasn't spending the time negotiating and traveling all over the world and living in Africa, so I was a restaurateur, which is true. I owned a restaurant, but instead of owning it for 8 years, I had to extend it, so I owned it for 20 years. So those are the things that I maybe stretched the truth. So when they got off the bus, they like, Rick's this birding influencer, Rick's been to all these countries, and they were shocked that none of that was shared. But why would I share how much travel and all these skills that I have? So I wanted no target on my back. Like when Mac and Allie came on the bus. They're like, "Oh, I backpacked all throughout Europe. I know I've been to all seven continents and all these countries." I'm like, "Why are you telling people this? You're gonna put a target on your back." So those are things that I lied about. I anything about, my family or selling the house because of all that is true. The financial stuff, all that is true. But what I hid was the traveling and the birding. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you for the clarification because I know there were a
Yeah.
lot of like questions on that. So that
Oh, don't read Reddit. They're like, "Oh, Rick's been to Monte Carlo. He must have gambled away everything." Like, come on, people.
I saw your Instagram reading the Reddit. So that was
Oh
funny,
yeah.
the Reddit comments. That was funny. You do you recommend your strategy to do you recommend others to do a similar strategy that you did in the game? And do you have any
No,
regrets?
no. It is the hardest strategy to play. To create a persona to live for 30 days straight, never breaking your character. Like, it is the hardest thing to do. Like, I would be up at night, tossing and turning for the clues to try to figure that out, but then also trying to remember the stories I've told people. Because if you contradict yourself even once,
Mhm.
there's a crack in your armor and nobody will trust you. And Kim, to her credit, she said, "I didn't trust you from day one." Shane said he didn't trust me. You're shady, Rick. So they were on to like, I'm not being genuine. Like, some people have that intuition. They can read people. I mean, Shane is a very intuitive guy, right? He got through that map, that maze so fast. He got through the challenge with the soldiers so fast. So he was reading me correctly, to his credit, that I'm someone not to be trusted. But we got him out.
What do you think about going back to, I believe, the first episode when Josh kind of said, "Don't trust Rick," and you went into confessional and you were like, I didn't have malintent to mislead him. Was that true, or was that a
That's
part of
true.
that was true?
Absolutely true. I thought we were in Milan. Had I been in the map room, I also would have placed my ex in Milan. I would have gone home and nobody would have seen me win. So when he asked where we were, I truthfully said Milan. I was building that character of the friendly dad. I'm going to help you with your homework. If you don't know where we're at, I'll tell you. Ty even asked me, "Where are we?" And I told her Milan. So like that's what I had to tell people to build myself back up in episode two, is like, look, I'm not trying to mislead Josh. I don't know why he called me a snake. I'm not doing anything untrustworthy. I thought we were in Milan. That's it. He was hurt. I think he thought he was going to make it further in the game, and we all thought he was going to make it further. And he was, I think, embarrassed, and he wanted to make somebody else the reason, and he chose me.
Going back to Monaco. So let's go back to Monaco. I believe like it was you kind of told Biggy, a lie. Can you tell us like your thought process behind that or how you came up with it?
I thought I got away with the perfect lie. I thought I misdirected Biggie with my pine cones painted white. It wasn't until Jeffrey asked us all what was in our boxes at the end of the episode, and I'm like, oh crap, what do I do now? And I thought about all the different options. I can lie and say I had pine cones, but Jeffrey wasn't going to let that slip because his whole goal was to tell us how smart he is by, here's how all the clues led to Monte Carlo. So I couldn't lie. So I was like, well, I'm busted, but we're going to the finale. Maybe I can repair this overnight. So I was telling Biggie that night, look, I'm so sorry, but like, I thought there'd be a second challenge. I was going to withhold this information and then tell you later, just to like, hey, we're still friends. But I got busted big time.
And I saw that. One last question for you, and then we're up on time. Had Peter not come into the game, where do you predict you would have ended up on Destination X? Because you guys had a
Oh,
strong alliance there.
I think I would have been out in Amsterdam. Um, Only because they would have all ganged up on me. I mean, it was going that way. Nobody was wanting to work with me. I was feeling more and more alienated every episode. I would have been the one that they targeted. It was all going to be as long, yeah, yeah, gang up on Rick. That was it. So my only way to win was because of Pete and Janae coming on board. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rick. I think we're out of time here, but thank you for being so honest and open, and we can't wait to see your upcoming projects in the future. And don't spend it all in one place.
Thanks, Mia. You can tell your followers follow me on Instagram or YouTube at Birding with Rick.
Birding with Rick, we got it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.